Hey everyone, it is Deacon here with Windermere Wand Shop, and today I have the privilege and the honor to make a wand for the talented and lovely and amazing Lauren Fairweather. And if you don't know who she is, I'm sorry for you. But really, she's a really talented musician and she's got a great blog. You can check out her Instagram and YouTube channel, and I will post those in the description down below. But today I will be making a wand for her using a really special antique handle. And it's actually from a knife, and you can see it's still a knife right now. But here you can see the details on this. It is silver, and it is nearly 200 years old, actually. So I'm really excited to dive in. We're going to be making the wand out of cherry wood and using a really nice dark aged stained look, a little weathered, and I generally like to try to carry the details of the handle into the wand. So we'll see how that goes, and I will be working at it, and you can follow along with me. Okay. So a lot of times I will just wing it with the design, but with this one I figured it would be nice if you could kind of see my thought process as I'm going through. So as I am sketching this out, you'll notice I'm just making some pretty general lines with a ruler to kind of give me the basic tapered shape of a wand. I'll go from there, and then that way I can kind of sketch things out and plan things out for proportion as I'm going through. Apologize also for my extremely squeaky chair. This is life. Okay, so Lauren mentioned that she was on the shorter side of things, so I want to keep that in mind as I'm creating this wand. Basically just kind of thinking through the overall length. You know, with a taller person I might do something as long as about 15 inches, 14 and a half inches, something like that. With a shorter person I might do something closer to maybe 13 inches, possibly 12 and a half. I don't generally like to go less than that, just due to just how short that can look. You know, I know that in the books they're all, you know, Harry's is 10 3/4 and all of those different things, if I remember correctly. Oh gosh. But in the movie, of course, his wand is actually probably 14 or 15 inches long, the actual prop itself. But here, so I'm kind of just roughing in the basic shape of the handle itself, you know, kind of trying to get that taper in there, sketching all of that out. And with all this, I mean, this is the reason I was drawn to this handle, why I got it in the first place, was just the incredible detail that you see in something like this, and how a lot of this was really hand chased and engraved. It's just, I mean, it's just incredible. So a lot of times I'll try to both let this stand out on its own and do something similar in the wood on the handle, or on the shaft, I should say, of the wand. Oh, something like that. And of course we have this here. So it's these little details, these little things that stand out here kind of towards the base of the handle that I really like to incorporate, because it works well in that transition piece there. But yeah. Just really trying to get some of the rough shapes in there. There's that neat hand engraving there for whoever purchased this or got this ordered back almost 200 years ago. Anyways, a lot of times I can spend way too long sketching this out when it's already there. It's just a handle. So then for the rest of the wand, I generally like to try to keep some of these things going. So I might start here. I'll probably do something relatively similar. I do really like the geometric, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hexagonal shape, and maybe I can try to do something similar though. Trying to get that straight shape around a lot of these organic carvings can be really, really tough and hard to do well, but I'd still like to try. So kind of some of these things to where these little pieces come out like that. Probably a bit smaller there, but then I'm kind of carrying on this shape here. So I'm trying to get something similar. Going through there, and this is where a lot of the difficulty lies, is in some of these finer engravings and the 3D element of it. It's one thing to just kind of engrave in a shape. It's a totally different thing to try to make that three-dimensional, kind of to match the handle. It can cause a lot of difficulty. But then if I can make this hexagonal, I think that would really look pretty nice. So I suppose I will use my ruler since I'm using geometric shapes. Maybe try to keep a bit of a thinner taper throughout. And then it would be kind of neat to work with the tip of the wand here, which I almost never do this. So I think that's maybe why I'm kind of drawn to the idea right now, but doing something similar that we see here, to where this kind of comes up and has a little bit more carving. So it would stand out a little bit on the tip and come down here. Maybe trying to bring some of the elements that you see up in this uppermost part of the handle. Just kind of the classic acanthus filigree kind of stuff in here. And I will also, as I do this, I'll probably make it look fairly worn. Yes, I'm not sure what I was going to say after that, but I'll probably make it fairly worn. And I did warn Lauren that as I was making this video, I was going to be fairly awkward, and I think I'll probably live up to that fairly well. So this is kind of that concept of the geometric hexagonal shaft that you can see here. Yeah, I think that would work. I think that would work. Okay, so this would be cherry and that, and I think that'll do it. Now it'll be time to actually make the wand. Okay, now that I have my sketch here and my antique handled knife here, it is time to get into the wand shop and make Lauren's wand. Okay, well, as you can see, step one was making it not a knife anymore. And as you can see by the bluing, I did that with heat, and that melts the adhesive inside. And now I am left with a nice handle ready to be made into a wand. So now the next step will be getting the cherry all set up in the lathe and turning it to the desired shape. Okay, so now we have our cherry chucked up into the lathe. With these kinds of things, I really like to start with these 3/4 inch dowels. It's all nicely kiln dried and everything like that. I get it at Woodcraft. But yeah, so I've got my dust collector here, which should keep most of it from my lungs and all over the shop, but not all of it. Then I'm going to be turning down the shaft into the design that we drew earlier. And for most of it, I'm using a roughing gouge, which looks a lot like this here. This is by Robert Sorby. I use this on pretty much everything. You can see how poorly I sharpen it. But yeah, I'm excited to get started. Okay, for this next part, I am just going to cut down the end of this on my bandsaw. And you can see I built this tool Lazy Susan to be able to go between my trusty belt sander here and my bandsaw. But you'll also see if I move the camera a little bit that I have a dust collector bag in the way because I haven't moved that outside yet. And so oftentimes, because I'm way too lazy, I will just cut backwards like this. And it works out pretty well, both for my laziness and for the wand. So let's get to it. Okay, so now that I have this section cut down into relatively a square shape, I'm going to just really sand down the edges and bring it to a wand tip point. Of course, leaving this lip here so that I can do that carving that you saw in the drawing. So I like to leave that large, and then I can basically carve it and engrave it down so it has that nice 3D look. Yeah, and then you'll also see me just kind of straightening out, smoothing out the shaft itself of the wand and trying to get that hexagonal shape in there. I'm really excited. Let's get to it. Okay, so now that the basic shape of the shaft is done, I can really kind of sand this a little bit more smoothly, kind of making a little bit more straight the lines of the hexagonal shape, which went a little bit better than I thought it would. So what I'm going to do now is draw in the rough shapes kind of that I have here in this drawing. So I'll draw that in on the shaft here, draw this section in that you can see kind of up in this area, and I will flatten this side out on the top and bottom so that it can fit into this oblong crusty shape, which it does fit now, but I just want it to fit a little bit better, and then I'll probably work to kind of close this gap a little bit more to make this a really nicely fitting wand. All right. Okay, now I have most of my shape kind of roughed in. I'll still probably leave this section raised a little bit, but then yeah, I've got my shape here, and now it is time to carve it out with my Dremel. Okay, so I actually went and changed the tip anyways, because I think that this better fits the sketch and kind of my idea for it. So instead of just like light scrolling or filigree going that way, it's more of a leaf coming up from the tip. So now to engrave it, and this time I mean it. Okay, so now that this is pretty much carved out and my hands barely work anymore, I am going to just use some steel wool to really kind of soften up the edges. I don't want to use too much, more of an aggressive sandpaper, because I don't want to get rid of too many of the details that I just spent a long time carving. Yeah, I think that'll do it. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to ebonize this cherry wood so it won't get as black as like a walnut would, but basically I'm taking a really nasty looking mixture of vinegar and rust or steel wool. I think I've even put in some rusty nails, but it oxidizes the wood in a really cool way. So you'll see as I brush it on how the wood just instantly starts getting darker. This is a neat and fairly natural way to darken and stain wood and give it a really nice old weathered look. So I'm just going to brush it on here. Try to get it in all of the different little cracks to make them stand out. Okay, so this is what it looks like now, and just to show you the difference, I'm gonna make a bunch of noise off camera. And this is what it looked like before. This is what the cherry looked like before. So nice and grayish and dark. And now I can apply some stain and then sand lightly to kind of bring out the texture, kind of the highlights of what I carved here. Now I'm going to stain the wand and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so now I am going to, now that this is stained and everything, I am going to sand, like I mentioned, and just bring out some of the highlights in the edges and in what I've carved here. Okay, so that is it. Here is the wand. I'll show it to you here. I hope that you enjoyed watching the creation of the wand for Lauren, and I hope that Lauren likes it. But thank you, thank you so much for all the support and all the love over the years. Thank you for watching this video, and if you like it, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.